not just, there's a lot of story behind this. They came to Jews for Judaism back in 1994 to try and convince us to have a concert. And I'm thinking, this is an interesting character, but I don't know, do I trust him? But nevertheless, he pulled us off a beautiful concert the first year here at Shir Shemayim, and I thought, okay, that was beautiful. And the next year he said, okay, it's time for number 2, and 3, and 4, and here we are, the 31st annual Cavalcade of Stars at Shir Shemayim in support of Jews for Judaism, sponsored by the Entertainment and Cultural Committee of Shir Shemayim. I think it's fantastic. And what's fantastic about it, it's an example of how an individual can take upon himself a goal to make a difference in the Jewish world. And the mandate of Jews for Judaism has always been keeping Jews Jewish and saving Jewish lives. And throughout all our mailings, we've often had stories of different individuals who have been helped by us. But I always like to point to the people who help us get there. Jerry, Sandy, and all of you as donors. It all makes a huge difference. Because we really do see, if you go on our website and take a look at our mailings, we always put in quotes from different people who have been helped. And so without you, it couldn't have happened. So I'm going to step down now and allow our MC to come forward to make an introduction. You can introduce, I can't do it all, you know. No, Hyim Bessin has been a fantastic MC for the last number of years. Thank you, Hyim. And the show must go on. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. I am thrilled, delighted, ecstatic, overjoyed, and genuinely so happy to welcome you all back to the 31st annual Cavalcade of Stars. Hi, Annie. Nice to see you. In the words of a very famous head of state in recent years, this is by far the most record-breaking crowd we've ever had. As we can all see, there's no empty seats, absolutely none. Okay? But as we know, it's about quality over quantity. Thank you all so much for coming and supporting such a wonderful organization. Julius stole my opening act. Thank you, Julius. It's okay. It's okay. Okay? And without further ado, I'd like to welcome our first speaker of the evening, who is our very own Rabbi Sam Taylor, who has a very extensive and impressive resume, which I will not read, because that's not why we're here, but it's listed for anyone who wants it, and it's on the website of many, many different organizations, including our own. Without further ado, our very own tremendous Rabbi Sam Taylor.
Thank you so much, Chaim. Very, very kind of you. I've been told that everyone likes a joke, so let's see what happens with this one. There was a church that had a very big problem with mice. You know this one? Okay. There was a church that had a big problem with mice, and the vicar just couldn't get rid of them. He tried this, he tried that, but the problem got worse and worse. People wouldn't come to church, people wouldn't come to this event, they wouldn't come to that event, and it was becoming a real problem. Anyway, he happened to see his friend the rabbi, and he said, "Rabbi," the vicar said, Rabbi, tell me, I've got this major problem with infestation of mice in the church. Have you got any advice? What should I do? Have you got some kind of blessing maybe? Tell me, I've come to you for an eitzah." Well, he didn't say that. Come to you for a piece of advice. Please, what should I do? And the rabbi said, "Vicar, don't worry about it. I've got the perfect solution. What you do, you get all the mice, get them together, you give them a bar mitzvah, and I guarantee you'll never see them ever again." Okay, so thank you so much for everyone who was laughing. I appreciate it. Anyway, in Parshas Vayishlach, we have the episode when Yaakov Avinu is attacked by the angel of Esav. Our rabbis say this was the Satan. The question asked by the Chofetz Chaim is that when it came to the Satan attacking Yaakov Avinu, he did it because he wanted to destroy Yiddishkeit. But why didn't he attack Avraham? Why didn't he attack Yitzchak? Why did he wait for Yaakov Avinu to come along? If he wanted to destroy Judaism, start with the first generation. Why did you wait for the third generation? And the Chofetz Chaim says something very, very important. A very, very important principle, which is so applicable to this evening, tonight. so applicable to this event. And he said this. He said, when it came to Avraham Avinu, what was Avraham Avinu's defining characteristic? What was his legacy to Klal Yisrael? Chesed. Chesed is important. We should be Baalei Chesed. We should be giving to families so they can help make Pesach, right? Especially this year, we should be Baalei Chesed. Absolutely, this is key to who we are. However, Chesed isn't the key to the future of the Jewish people. And therefore, when the Satan saw that this would be Avraham Avinu's legacy to Klal Yisrael, he thought, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to step in. Because if that's all there is, because if that's what they have, if the Jews are about Chesed, then it'll die out eventually. I can move on. I can leave it alone. Then Yitzchak comes along. What's Yitzchak's legacy to the Jewish people? His legacy is tefillah, is prayer. Again, prayer is important. I put my tefillah on every single day, right? Absolutely, we take davening very, very seriously. But again, davening isn't the key to the future of the Jewish people. And therefore, when the Satan saw that would be Yitzchak's legacy to Klal Yisrael, to the Jewish people, don't need to bother. If that's all they have, or they've got just that in Chesed, they've got no future, they've got no vibrancy going in the years ahead, I don't need to get involved, and that's why he didn't get involved. And then finally, Yaakov Avinu comes along. What's Yaakov Avinu's legacy to the Jewish people? What's Yaakov all about? He is all about education, about Jewish education. He was Ishtam Yoshev Ahalim. And when the Satan saw that, when he saw that that would be the legacy of Yaakov Avinu, that the Jewish people would all be about chinuch, about education, about the Jewish people knowing who they are, knowing the history, knowing the heritage, at that moment the Satan said, oh my goodness, this is a problem. If this happens, if Yaakov's legacy lives on, and if he's able to establish this, then I'm in trouble. The Jewish people have a future. And that's why at that moment he decided to step in. So we see from this, says the Chavetz Chaim, that yes, of course, we care about Chesed. Yes, of course, we care about Tefillah. But when it comes to the future of our community, when it comes to the future of our community, not just being there, but being vibrant and exciting and dynamic, it's all about education. Sometimes we learn about what's important from our friends, but sometimes we learn about what's important from our enemies. And this is a classic example of that. And that is why I'm so honored to be here. That's why I'm so thrilled that our shul is hosting again this very important event, Jews for Judaism, which is all about education. It's all about making sure that Jews know who they are, where they're from, what Judaism is all about. So, which is just, again, so important. We see that from the Chavetz Chaim, from Yaakov Avinu. That's why this event is just so critical. But also, that's why I'm also so happy that you have some very special honorees. Saul and Queenie Nayman, people who do whatever they can for the education of our community. They travel to Poland on numerous occasions with Aish, with the Living Legacy, with the March of the Living. They speak to groups so many times so that to young people, so that they know about Judaism, so they know about their heritage, so they know about where they come from, which is just unbelievable. And also our other honoree, Adam Saunders, someone who started one of his first jobs working for Jews for Judaism, and someone who was having a very successful career on the West Coast in Vancouver, and he moved his family all the way from Vancouver, together of course with Galit. Why? So that their daughters can have a Jewish education and go to Nevota Torah Jewish Day School, which is just unbelievable. So yes, the importance of education, the importance of Jews for Judaism, but also in the honorees that we have here tonight, we have people who lead by example and people who inspire others in terms of chinuch, education, and making sure that our community is full of Jews that know who they are, where they come from, and who understand their values. So just to conclude, with Divrei Bracha for this event, for this very important organization, have a great evening, and thank you so much.
Shakoach, thank you so much, Rabbi Taylor, for those incredibly inspirational and eternally relevant words. Thank you so much. Shakoach. I'd now like to welcome our first act of the evening, but before I do so, I'd like to take a moment to go off script and to recognize all those who are standing and sitting behind me, who have dedicated their evening to support for our wonderful organization. So please let's everyone give them a clap before the evening starts. But they don't have to wait till the very end to be acknowledged for everything that they're doing. Thank you all so, so much. Our first act of the evening is the ELDAN COHEN trio. ELDAN COHEN right over there is a close personal friend for many years who is a local guitarist and vocalist, an excellent musical performer, and again, long extensive bio which I won't read, but who has come together with two other incredible gentlemen, Gabe Ben-Chitrit and James Kilby, and they're going to do an amazing folk and bluegrass set for a while. It is going to be an incredible treat. Got bumped to second? Okay. You got bumped?
They got bumped.
Yeah, by us.
We bumped
You
them.
were first.
We're first.
So these guys are first, and they're amazing, and we are so incredibly happy, that they are first. And this is the KLEZKONNECTION.
That's good.
Okay. This is the KLEZKONNECTION. We are so happy that they are first. ELDAN and his group is going to be second. Thank you, ELDAN, for letting me know. Okay. These guys are amazing. They come from all walks of Jewish life, share their passion for Jewish music, especially, of course, klezmer music, hence their name. Okay. They've performed at Jewish Music Week, Ashkenaz Festival, bar mitzvahs, restaurants, everywhere. Where have they not performed? Okay. Who are they? Jono Lightstone, musical director and clarinet. Okay. Allan Rosenbluth on the keyboard and bass. Ethan Shapiro, Harold Wolfe, Abba Lustgarten, Allan Rosenbluth, Allan Sisselman, Lynda, Batist Friedman, Ed Noy, Lee Coplan, and Ed Segalowitz. Thank you all so much. And there are probably a few more who have not been mentioned. Okay? And Harold Wolfe. Okay? And we are so excited that you've been bumped to first. Okay? Hope you got a voucher for $800 as well, like the airlines do. Okay? And now we are so excited to hear you. So without further ado, please enjoy the program.
All right, we're excited to be here. Without further ado, we're going to start out with a song called Lebedik and Freilach.
Thank
We will be playing a couple of dance tunes later on, but we're going to start now, slow things down a little bit with a song called Chasen u Rabina. And this was recorded by Belf's Romanian Orchestra, would you believe, in 1912. Julius backed out on this one on me. He was going to sing a song with me. I'm kind of disappointed, but, or maybe not, I'm not sure. Is that a challenge? Okay, we're going to carry on with By Mir Bis Du Shane. If you'd like to sing along, please do. Of all the girls I've met, and I've known some, until I first met you, I was lonesome. And when you came inside, dear, my heart grew light, and this old world seemed new to me. You're really swell, I have to admit you deserve expressions that really fit you. And so I've racked my brain hoping to explain all the things that you mean to me. By mir bist du schön, please let me explain. By mir bist du schön means that you're grand. By mir bist du schön, again I'll explain. It means you're the fairest in the land. I could say Bella, Bella, even say Wunderbar. Each language only helps me tell you how grand you are. I've tried to explain. By mir bist du schön, so kiss me and say you'll understand. Tell me about it. This next song is a share. You know, there were a number of Jewish dances that came from Eastern Europe. There's the hora, and this is a very different dance from the Israeli hora because the hora is really, it's a Romanian style song. And then there's the share, which is known as the scissors dance, the share. And this came from a book that I had published in 1916 by Wolfe Kostakovsky, who is a wonderful violinist, and we named it after him. It's called Kostakovsky's Share. medley that might get a few of you up on your feet. Start out with Hava Nagila, end off with Simon Tov, and then see what we do in between.
Feel free to dance.
There we go. Start off nice and slow, and we'll build up some speed. 1, 2, 1. We're going to do a song by the great Harry Kandel. He was a violinist who led his own orchestra, Kandel's Orchestra, and this is his hora called Kandel's Hora. By the way, how many of you are familiar with klezmer music? I mean, everybody's heard it, right? And it's like klezmer music. Let's just say, what is klezmer music? Klezmer music is the wedding music of the Jews of Eastern Europe. So it's basically party music. So most of the songs are going to be up-tempo dance tunes. These slightly slower songs are also dances, but these would have been more for the family, maybe the grandfathers, the Zadie's dance, Zadie's dance. Okay. So Kandel's Hora.
One before.
Okay, so we got a couple more songs for you. I hope you're enjoying our music. This next song, thank you so much. This is the Serbo Moldova. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to end off with a sing-along.
What's that?
Olive breeder.
The song is called Olive Breeder. It's a sing-along. The words are very easy.
Yeah,
I'll teach
don't
you the
worry
words
about it.
right now. It's going to...
I'm not taking it home. I got enough stuff.
There we go. It goes, oi, 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 oi. That's it.
That's a tough word.
You got that? Do you want to repeat after me? Oi, 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 oi. Oi, 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 oi.
Can they say ay, 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 ay also?
You're going to confuse them.
One, two, three. innig, oi, oi, alle innig, zien wir seinen viel zu wenig, oi, oi, oi. Und wir lieben sich doch alle, oi, oi, sich doch alle, wir sind nicht der Kalle, oi, oi, oi. Oi, 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 Thank you so much. It's been our pleasure to play for you tonight for Class Connection. Thank you, Julius.
No.
Thank you all so much to the KLEZ Connection. Let's give him another round of applause. That was fantastic, fantastic. And thank you all so much for that spirited singing and dancing. We may just need to consider installing shower facilities for next year because of all the spirited dancing, but that was really incredible. Thank you so much. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce my very good friend and past president of Shar Shemaim, Allan Berger, who's been an absolute pillar of Jews for Judaism for decades, and a current senior volunteer for Bikur Cholim organization in Toronto, doing amazing work for the community. Allan Berger has been an integral role here for the Evening of Music for many years. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Allan, who's going to introduce our first honoree.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. This is the 31st occasion to have the Cavalcade of Stars. And if you're able to stick around for number 36, we give out gold stars at that particular point in time. You'll notice that every time somebody is introduced as a past president, that sticks with you for a lifetime. But as my friends affectionately call it, they don't call it past president, they call it PP, which has a different connotation sort of thing. The other thing they refer to is with a past president, the title and $1 million makes you a millionaire. So the title doesn't mean very much at all. Anyway, I just want to acknowledge and thank Juno and the KLEZKONNECTION for coming. And you guys did a great job. And we hope you'll consider coming back again, and we'll look forward to the other performers. The information that we have tonight, I want to thank a very, very special group of people, and that is you, the audience, because good. Thank you, Hyim and Rabbi Taylor, okay? Without you guys being in attendance and without your financial support, we don't have this going at all. Also want to acknowledge the founders behind this, Sandy and Jerry Genisov. Jerry is the face of the organization, but Sandy does all the work behind it, so Shikoya, okay? Also want to thank the people at Jews for Judaism, Julius, number 1, Rabbi Michael, number 2, Carol, number 3, and Miriam, number 4. A great Shikoya to them. We have a distinct privilege tonight, and that's to recognize and honor Queenie and Saul Neon, what you would call today a power couple. They're together in everything they do. They even sit together in shul, and when I mean sitting together, there's a proper mechitza between them, but they're as close as possible that they can be to each other, and they're also in close proximity to Rabbi Taylor, where he sits, okay? So I want to talk about, first of all, Queenie. Queenie, you notice you get first billing, which is well-deserved. That's with Saul's specific suggestion and information. I'm told that Queenie has an unusual name in terms of how it came about. She was born on the day that there was a coronation of a king in England. And the family took a look at that and said, well, we've got royalty here too, so we might as well call her Queenie. So very, very well deserved. Queenie has a long history in terms of supporting the Jewish community. Before she started that, she was a grade 3, grade 4 teacher in the public school system, gravitating to the Jewish day school system after that, and has been involved in numerous charities as president of the Mount Sinai Hospital Auxiliary and Sick Kids, and many other things. They are going to be going, the two of them, because they've been chaperones in the program in terms of birthright and the AISH program as well. As soon as Pesach ends, the next day they're heading off there, and they've been very inspirational in that. So Saul has an interesting background as well. He wasn't afforded the opportunity to have a regular bar mitzvah because of the Shoah, but he had his bar mitzvah at the age of 83. And I don't know how many of you know the significance of the age of 83. So what I'm told is life expectancy, from what it said in the Torah many years ago, life expectancy was 70. So if you add on 13, it's 83. It's like a rebirth, a new bar mitzvah. And Saul did a great job. I can attest to that personally. Saul has a very interesting background as well. He has had an extensive career in the retail business, having been a senior executive with Simpsons and also one of the founding partners of Club Monaco. And we're pleased to see their son, Gary, back here with us. Nice to welcome you, Gary, and some of his children, Lauren and Marie. So welcome, everybody. Without further ado, I'd like to ask Saul to come up. And Queenie going to speak too?
No, but she's my...
Okay.
I never thought...
They do everything in tandem, as you'll find out. So, okay. Over to you guys. All about it.
I just need a chair.
Allan,
Allan?
can I speak up there? Because I need something with my notes.
There's no,
There's no microphone there?
can we take this? Here we go. All right. Thank you. They say a rabbi does many jobs. Thank you. Okay, so you don't need me here.
No.
All right, let me take it out. Okay.
Okay. You just sit down, sweetheart. Take no water. Birshut Harav, dear friends, I'm very delighted to be here. I had no idea what to expect, and I'm delighted to have heard some beautiful Yiddish singing, some beautiful Yiddish music, and I hope I don't spoil the effect of laughter and joy with my remarks this evening. For many years, like other survivors, I rarely spoke about our life in hell. Surviving the war and the Holocaust was a painful experience, and speaking about it just added to the pain. However, Queenie and our family and friends wanted me to record the story of my family's survival so that our grandchildren and others would have a testament of what we endured. I kept putting it off, as I felt that I was not a true survivor, not having been in one of the death camps of the Nazis or one of their concentration camps, or having had to face a Nazi soldier. This changed on a visit to the Holocaust Museum in Washington, who define a Holocaust survivor as anyone who has been moved from wherever they were to another place. In other words, banished from their towns or moved because of their ethnic and political policies of the Nazis between 1933 and 1945. So, after hearing that, I realized that I'm a true survivor, and I had to make up for lost time. So I wrote my story for my 75th birthday, 13 years ago, dedicating it to our grandchildren. There remains so much more to learn about the Holocaust. You're aware of Auschwitz, Birkenau, Treblinka, our neighborhood death camp, as I call it. But how many are aware about Syktyvkar? Syktyvkar in the Soviet Union is where we and thousands of other Jews survived the Holocaust. 6 million Jews perished in the Shoah, about half in Poland, while 2.5 million were murdered in the Soviet Union in what I call the parallel Holocaust. My story seemed to inspire our grandchildren, our twins, and Candace and Lauren decided to go on the march in 2012, the March of the Living. I wanted to go with them, but they said to me, Zadie, you can't come with us. You are too emotional. You can't handle it. I didn't argue. But when my grandson Maurice, who is here, decided to go in 2016, I said to him, Moish, I'm going with you, and let my emotions emote. And it really was one of the most wonderful journeys I ever had, and it was truly a wonderful change in lifestyle. We left for Krakow and arrived there on May 3rd, 2016 rather. May 3rd is the day of emancipation of Poland. And it was quite wonderful to see everyone in Poland decked out the way everyone in Israel is on Yom Ha'atzmaut. On May 5th, which was at that time, Yom HaShoah, we were prepared to head out to Auschwitz for the 3.5-kilometer walk from Auschwitz to Birkenau. But before that, we, of course, realized that May 5th also happened to be my grandson Moshe's birthday. Picture, if you will, all the Jews who were in a particular hotel in the morning, talaisim, tefillin, etc., davening in the hallway of a synagogue in Poland. I think Hitler must have been turning over in whichever hell he was rotting at that time. Shortly thereafter, we headed out to Auschwitz for that march to Birkenau. And again, it was an incredible opportunity, an incredible emotional opportunity. And the most compelling moment in Auschwitz-Birkenau is at the end of the closing ceremony in Birkenau. We lined up with about 10,000 other March of the Living participants from 40 different countries. And at the biggest Jewish graveyard in the world, we sang Hatikva. If that did not stir the Nazis who are rotting somewhere, nothing in life ever would. A few days later, we were in Warsaw and then headed out to Treblinka. Treblinka, as I said earlier, our neighborhood death camp, about 20 kilometers from our shtetl. My shtetl, Stoczek, was about 45 kilometers southeast of Warsaw. Treblinka was one of the worst killing places in the history of the world. In a space of 18 months, 870,000 Jews were murdered in Treblinka. When the Soviet Union was about to free Treblinka, the Nazis destroyed the entire camp. They destroyed everything there. And it was turned over to Ukrainians as farmland. Later, a few years later, some brilliant designers decided to put something meaningful in Treblinka, and they erected 17,000 stones of different shapes and different sizes, representing the average daily killing in Treblinka. There were also about 250 stones from towns and villages throughout Europe from which Jews were sent to be destroyed in Treblinka. We located our town stone, number A91, at which we gathered, so that I could recite Kilmal Rachamim and Kaddish in memory of my grandmother and all those from our shtetl who perished. And what was so emotional for me is that Maurice recited Kaddish with me, having been permitted to do so by my son, Gary. That was a moment that I will never, ever, ever forget. When I speak to students, I remind them that they are the last generation to be in the presence of Holocaust survivors and hear the testimony of Holocaust survivors and hopefully become witnesses. What I have to remind them is their children will not likely be in the presence of a Holocaust survivor. Back to my story. Stoczek Węgrowski, as Jews prefer to call it, Stok, was much easier to pronounce, a little shtetl, and nothing, a nebish of a shtetl, is where I was born, November 5th, 1935, second child to Yidel and Sarah Rosa. My sister Manya, or Machla, was 7 years older. I was named in memory of my maternal grandfather, David Shlomo. He was a sofer, a scribe of holy works like Sifrei Torah, Tefillin, Mezuzot. He did his work as a holy calling, never taking money. And my father said in a note that I've read, he was the gentlest of gentle people, a true tzaddik. And he imbued my mother with love and gentility and generosity, which my mother thankfully passed some of it on to me. My mother was born in 1904. She was an only child. My father in 1905. He was one of 5. They were married in 1927. My mother was a very beautiful woman, and I treasure the few photographs that we have of her. Unfortunately, she was very ill from her teens and required incredibly difficult medical care, special food, special medications, and yet she somehow endured the Holocaust and passed away at the unusual young age of 52 years. The only grandparent I had was my mother's mother, Esther Doba, my Zeda's wife. She had a little counter in front of our house. Our house was a shack, like most others, a little wooden shack in which we ate, worked, and slept. My grandmother had to travel to Warsaw once a week or so to replenish her supplies. Mondays, market days, were the busiest when Polish people from surrounding villages would come, buy, sell, trade, barter, etc. We didn't have much. We didn't need much. The only possession that I had was a little hand-me-down white rocking horse on which I used to sit and rock. And especially in the summertime when it was hot, I would take my grandmother's measuring quart, a quart as it was called, and I'd give my little Ferdele some water to drink on a hot day so that I could keep on rocking it. My father had no trade or work skills, but he was a total Yiddishist, devouring every newspaper, every book that he could get his hands on. He had gone through the usual process of cheder, yeshivot, etc. But in his later teens, he became enamored with socialism, like so many young people did at that time, and he gave up being religious to pursue the social dicta of the Bund, and he became a Bundist. My mother and grandmother were observant and maintained a beautiful Jewish home. I remember on Friday afternoons, my sister and I would carry our pot of chunt to the local baker, so the chunt would be simmered overnight, and Shabbos after davening, we'd have a nice warm meal. I used to go to shul, and I used to sit on the bima and shokel like the men did. Of course, I didn't know any prayers at that time. I hadn't been taught any. But I could always get a beautiful smile from the rabbi and a beautiful treat, as every child who comes up here and gets a treat on Shabbos. It's open house for candies for children. Life went on quietly, day after day, until Poland was invaded by Hitler on September 1st. On September 9th, our shtetl ceased to exist. My father made a very brilliant decision. He decided to flee with the family to the nearby woods, and Poland is resplendent with fantastic forests. You could hide anything there. I was wrapped in a maroon duvet, carried to the woods with my mother and sister and grandmother. And from a distance, we could see the town as it was being taken over by the Nazis, riding through on their lorries, on their motorcycles, some on horseback. And that image has stayed with me throughout my life. In fact, I had found a photograph taken by a Wehrmacht soldier, a German soldier, of that very, very image that I had seen. My grandmother heard that our little hospital, which was nothing but another house with a few beds in it, was on fire. So she decided to go and help if she could. But she told us not to hang around too long because we would be in peril. And that was the last time we saw her. So we decided to move on, and we ended up in Bialystok, about 100 kilometers northeast of where we were. I don't know how we got there. Bialystok became a haven for about 300,000 Jews. Before the war, there were about 50,000 Jews living in Bialystok. Joseph Stalin, one of the most notorious murderers in history, realized that he had a ready-made slave labor market. Bialystok was in the sector of northeast Poland, which was taken over by the Soviets based on the Stalin-Hitler treaty, while the Nazis controlled the rest of Poland. So we were somehow inadvertently saved by Stalin by being deported from Bialystok, from Poland, to a destination that we knew nothing about. We were packed into filthy old cattle cars, as I'm sure you've seen in many renderings of Auschwitz and other camps. We didn't know where we were heading. After a trip of days, if not weeks, we ended up in the Komi, a so-called autonomous republic of the Soviet Union. Komi was just south of the Arctic Circle and slightly west of Siberia. Komi was a desolate place, and we were shipped to the capital of Komi, Syktyvkar. We knew nothing about Syktyvkar. We knew nothing about the people there. The natives actually, in many physical respects, resembled the indigenous people of Canada. We were packed into a tiny little room in a filthy old set of barracks with another couple whose name was Mida. We knew nothing of what was going to happen the next day. We had to endure tremendously horrible weather, particularly cold, as that town was just slightly south of the Arctic Circle. The places were overrun with rats and filth, and there was no electricity, no heat, no facilities. If one had to use a bathroom, it had to be outside in a terrible wooden plank. We had very little food. We had to sleep in whatever we had. Diseases were rampant. People were dying like flies. And when somebody was found dead along the snowbanks, the first thing people tried to do is get shoes. Shoes were the most precious thing, particularly as winters were so long there. My shoes were nothing but rags wrapped around my feet. Food was scarce. My father worked on a building project. He became a glazer, even though he had no particular skills in working with glass. I had to bring him his lunch, which was a little watery soup, a piece of bread or whatever was available, and go through a trek of about 3 kilometers through forests, through snowbanks. Threat of wolves was ever present, as threat of the local kids. But somehow we survived. We had a long-term survival policy: live through today and hope to see tomorrow. The barracks in which we were housed had a long corridor which was occupied by those who did not have a family or did not have a place to stay. My father, in one of his walks through the corridor, struck up a conversation with a young man who turned out to be his nephew Moshe from Minsk, Mazovietsk. So Moshe joined our family and joined our luxurious surroundings. Moshe, however, was a go-getter. He wouldn't stop at anything. The only possession that we had from Poland was the maroon duvet in which my father had wrapped me, and some Frage silverware pieces from my parents' wedding. Frage was a very famous make in Poland. Moshe had the chutzpah, or the smarts, to trade some of those Frage silver pieces for a little 5-ruble, 22-carat Russian gold coin from the Tsarist era. If anyone were found with that coin, it was game over. So the coin was sewn into whatever the garment I happened to be wearing, because I would not talk about it. I didn't know about it. And if I were discovered with that coin, nothing would happen to me because soldiers would not mess around with a young child. And that coin later proved to be a very important part of our lives and was worth much more than its weight in gold. In June 1941, Hitler broke his treaty with Stalin and invaded Poland. Operation Barbarossa. He moved through Białystok and would have headed to Ukraine. Stalin decided to destroy all the infrastructure in Poland, in Ukraine rather. Ukraine was the breadbasket of Europe. Stalin had no hesitancy to destroy it. He wanted all the moving vehicles, etc., to be destroyed, the factories to be destroyed, so that the Nazis would not be able to take advantage of anything. And that proved to be a very important turning point in World War II. As the Nazis were being pushed out of Ukraine, the factories in Ukraine, particularly the beet sugar factories, Ukraine had a vast beet sugar industry in addition to wheat. The factories had to be rebuilt. So it was decided to ship as many immigrants from other places to Ukraine. So we were shipped from Syktyvkar to a village in the Hyveron area of Ukraine, a journey of about 2,600 kilometers in conditions very similar to those that we had to put up with in 1939. The big difference between what was going on in the Soviet Union and West Germany, or Poland, is that in Europe, west of the Soviet Union, it was death by gas chambers. In the Soviet Union, it was death by bullets. And one of the most notorious examples of that was in Babi Yar, where in a space of 2 days, nearly 34,000 Jewish men, women, and children from nearby Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, were stripped of their clothing, lined up in front of open pits, and shot in the back of their heads. That was what Jews had to endure in Ukraine. And of the 1.5 million rather, Jews who were in Ukraine before the war started, 600,000 were destroyed. We were housed in a room in one of the factories, and nearby there was a farm, excuse me, a farm that was run by a family named Mogila. The Mogilas were very, very kind to us, particularly to my mother. And it's been said many times, no one has survived the Holocaust without the help of someone else. And my mother would not have survived had it not been for the kindness of the Megillas. A little milk, a little food, a little chicken, whatever was available. I went to school, as did my sister, studying Ukraine, became fluent in Ukraine after becoming fluent in Russian. So before I was even 10 years old, I spoke 3 languages. I hadn't started Hebrew yet, that was to come. The war ended on May 7th, 1945, and we were given choice by the Soviet government, become a Soviet citizen or Lech Lecha. We chose Lech Lecha. And after a journey of about 2,500 miles from Kharkiv, we ended up in several places along the way in Lower Silesia, in other parts of Germany under different controls. Germany was divided into 4 control areas: Soviet, US, French, and British. And we ended up in Wetzlar near Frankfurt in western Germany. Wetzlar was famous for the Leica camera, Ernst Lightstone camera in Wetzlar. And Wetzlar was notorious for its massive SS camp. It was huge. And we were housed in one of the SS barracks with 5,200 other DPs, displaced persons or displaced survivors, if you will. In Wetzlar, we heard for the first time what happened during the Shoah. Please understand that in the Soviet Union, there was nothing in the newspapers, the 2 newspapers, Pravda or Izvestia, or in the one radio station, Govorit Moskva, Moscow Speaks. We knew nothing about the camps, about the death camps, about the concentration camps. We met for the first time survivors who had endured the most unbelievable pain. We saw their emaciated bodies, the tattoos inscribed on their arms. We heard their stories. I held a bar of soap, supposedly made of pure Jewish fat, inscribed with the German symbol and RJF Rhein's Judenfett. We saw lampshades made of Jewish skin. Many, like my family, felt we were not real survivors, they were. But life began anew in Wetzlar. People were getting married. We were reunited with 2 cousins, one Isser, my mother's cousin, another one Shulam, my father's nephew. I went to school, Beis Sefer Tarbut, and in no time learned Hebrew, spoke it very, very well. There were games, there were weddings, there were parties. Zionism became entrenched. But what was next? We had no idea. Vuayin soll gehen. Where are we going to go next? We couldn't get a visa to the US, even though my mother's uncle in New York tried desperately to get us there. Didn't work. We tried Scandinavian countries. Didn't work. We heard about Canada. We knew nothing about Canada. But Moshe again started working on one of the immigration officers, who finally said, you know what, we can get you and my sister and me, we can get them a visa, but not my parents because of my mother's ill health. But someone said to Moshe, if you and my sister get married, it might help. So they obtained a bogus marriage certificate. There were no papers, there were no passports, nobody knew anything about anyone else, but they were married subsequently in Canada. That didn't work. Then we heard that Canada was accepting, not only accepting, but requiring tailors in the growing Winnipeg garment market. So we wanted to see if we could get a visa through there. Unfortunately, my father didn't know one end of a needle from another, so how was he going to be recognized as a tailor? We had a cousin who was a master tailor. Again, no one knew anyone else. He passed a brilliant test sewing a hem. So now Moshe had a marriage certificate, he had a tailor certificate, he went to see the same person with whom he had been dealing, and lo and behold, Moshe had that little 5 ruble gold coin from Syktyvkar. And that little token, that little gift, was our passport to Canada. A few weeks ago, I spoke at York University with the Osgood Hall lawyers group. And when I have PowerPoint images, it's much easier to express myself. So you have to forgive me that all you can do is look at me and listen rather than beautiful images. Anyhow, one of the leading people there, he had a little breakdown when he saw the image of that gold coin on the screen. He came over to me and showed me his ring. It was exactly that kind of a gold coin, except it was a 10 ruble coin instead of a 5. He was part of a Bahari community that survived the war in Kazakhstan. What a small world we live in. That coin, our coin, brought us all to Canada. At any rate, the journey was scheduled for the end of for the fall, right after Rosh Hashanah, which we thought was not just a new year, but a new life. And from Bremerhaven, one of the major ports in Germany, we were boarded on the SS Samuel Davis Sturgis, an American Navy ship, and we set sail for Canada. Yom Kippur occurred on the way, on the journey. Everyone was sick from the Atlantic Ocean, so fasting was easy, not just for one day, but for 8 days. And it was interesting, I found out after coming to Canada that one of the other families, or one of the other passengers on the SS Sturgis, was Henry Zagdansky, a long-time, a long-time member of Shar Shemaim, and his son and children have been members here for many, many years. So about 8 days later, we arrive at Pier 21 in Halifax on a Shabbat. We had to be off-boarded, deloused, checked out, and we were on the way out of Halifax to Western Canada. My mother called our Uncle Sam again, yes, Uncle Sam, in New York, and he said he'll meet the train in Montreal. The journey was Halifax, Montreal, Toronto, Winnipeg. Of course, the Zagdanskys got off in Toronto. When we arrived in Montreal, he was at Windsor Station, and our joy was beyond belief. He arranged with a couple of Landsleit, the Petrushka family and the Krantz family, to guarantee a place to stay for us. So we got off the train in Montreal, and that's where our life in Canada began. I was told by Mr. Petrushka, he was a member of a very famous family, Henoch Petrushka. His brother had translated the Torah into Yiddish. One of them was the head of the Vadair in Montreal. And imagine the zechut, the kavod, that we had to be with that family. And Henoch sort of took over managing me. He said I should enroll in Talmud Torah. Okay, what it's all about. It was about going to St. Joseph Street, going to the school and sitting down with the head of the enrollment. There was only one problem. It was $250 to get into Talmud Torah. We didn't have 2.5 cents. And as I was sitting outside in the hall near the office of the principal, while my mother was negotiating something with the manager, the principal, Mr. Magid, came out and saw this filthy kid sitting there and looked down at me, and he asked me in Hebrew if I speak Hebrew. I said, oh yes, I spoke Hebrew. So we had a beautiful conversation. He went into the office and he said, anyone who speaks Hebrew as beautifully as Shlomo gets into our school. So that's how I joined Talmud Torah. From there, Herzliya, Baron Bing, McGill, etc. So our life began in Montreal with the help, wonderful help, of the Petrushka family. I had a very successful career in retail, and in 1969 we returned to Toronto, having been here a little earlier, and with our sons at that time, sons this time as well, Gary and Stuart. Stuart is in New York. In fact, tomorrow he's leaving for a visit to our grandson Ben in Spain. We became part of Shar Shamayim, a part of Shar Shamayim that has been a shul that has been very, very generous, very kind to us. It's been truly a wonderful experience being here. I think Allan mentioned my bar mitzvah in 2018, 75 years after the day that was supposed to be my bar mitzvah. The thing is, we arrived just before Sukkot in Montreal, and the date of my bar mitzvah, Parshat Lech Lecha, was very shortly afterwards. I didn't have time to learn anything, to learn the Haftorah. My uncle in New York had sent me a little talit, he sent me tefillin, but I couldn't use them. And for years and years thereafter, Queenie said, you've got to do something about it. I said, I'm not going to do anything about it. You have to do something about it. So Queenie decided that we should have a bar mitzvah here, Parshat Lech Lecha, in 2018. It was an incredible experience, an incredible day. In fact, Rabbi Scobback at that time said he had never met a bar mitzvah bucha who had a wife, 2 sons, and 5 grandchildren. And it was a great experience for me. The only thing that was missing, there was no one to recite Baruch Shep Tarani for me. I've had the generous opportunity to have Lech Lecha every Shabbat since, and when I can't get an aliyah here, with the wonderful support of our wonderful Gabbai, I always have an open door to the shul down here. I just want to close with a particular comment or two about my Queenie. In a true sense, she is the real survivor in our family for having put up with me for 63 years. She's been a tower of strength in the communities in which we live. She remains an incredible partner, an incredible wife, a wonderful mother. Gary can agree to that. Stuart can't because he's on the way to Spain. I think more importantly than anything else, an amazing bubby. There's nothing she cherishes more than our wonderful grandchildren, two of whom, Lauren and Maurice, are here. Ben is in Spain. Rachel is in northern New York. Queenie has been my tower of strength for all this time. And I can't thank her enough. She's been the leader in our family for so many wonderful things. And I just want to close with saying how grateful I am to have made a home in this wonderful country, to have been a member in this wonderful shul. And I pray that Hashem will continue to give us the strength and the endurance to continue to do what we do best. My entire being is dedicated to Holocaust education, to the voyages that are so meaningful, the March of the Living, the H. Living Legacy, and I'll be going with Queenie to both again this year. I've been able to become a friend or almost a parent to almost 800 special grandchildren from across Canada, the US. I've returned to my birth town for the first time 2 years ago. On the March of the Living, there's no deviation at all from the set down routes because of security, most importantly. But I was fortunate that a dear friend of ours, Johnny Daniels, who was a schoolmate of the rabbis, persuaded the local mayor to arrange whatever needed to be arranged, and the March of the Living head office agreed that on the route from COHEN to Treblinka, we could take a little detour. It's only 20 kilometers. And imagine, if you will, 4 buses with 4 survivors, 124 students, 20 chaperones, staff, 2 rabbis, security people, the Polish security people, rolling into this little shtetl in which there were only 600 Poles left, driving up to the cemetery where I had the privilege of speaking at a place that was created by the only person who survived the war in Poland, Chasia Vardy. Chasia emigrated to Palestine after the war and then returned to Stoczek, and with a Polish activist was able to get permission to create a little cemetery with a platform and 1 tombstone in memory of the Jews of Stok and the 6 million who perished. So I spoke on that platform because to me it was important to be there in honor of Chasia. When I was finished, I was ready to move on to go to Treblinka, which was about a 20-minute drive, but I was told I had to step down because Johnny had to show me something. And what was that? I had to pull a string, and lo and behold, under the string was a matzeva dedicated to my town, to my family, and memory of the 6 million Jews who perished. I had a meltdown like never before. And I had the fortune to return last year with Queenie on the Ace journey and show her that little shtetl and that little matzeva. And I had a presentation prepared in Polish, which essentially began by saying, in 1939, there were 1,200 Jews in this town. Today, there's only one. I'm the last Jew from Stoczek. So thank you for your very kind attention. As I said, I'm blessed to have Queenie and 3 of my beautiful family here. Gary's wife, she's not my daughter-in-law, she's my daughter. Had to take the evening off, and we suggested that she might want to watch the goings-on. They're my Yerisha. They're my joy. And I'm so grateful to my dear friend Allan for twisting my arm and having me take his request and join here. Privileged to have met Julius Kiss and our other participants, and to dance to a few Yiddish ladies. Thank you very much, and I use koyach to you all. Thank you.
I just wanted to acknowledge Saul's insights into what he gave us. He is not a speaker, he is a magnificent storyteller, and we thank you for sharing what obviously was a difficult story to tell. And I believe you and Queenie are married, going to be married this year, 64 years? 64 years. I said going to be, I said. Okay, and we wish you many more happy years together, and you should be able to continue your noble work for Jewish charities and Jewish continuity. And as a small token of what you have tonight, we're going to present you with something. It's called the Couple of Achievement Award. Honors Saul and Queenie Nayman for their dedication to Jewish survival through an unbreakable commitment to Holocaust education and fighting anti-Semitism. They're preserving the past while inspiring. You please stop. They're preserving the past while inspiring younger generations with hope for the Jewish future. March the 30th, 2024. We wish you continued Hatzlacha Rabbah. You get that,
very much.
and you get this. Great Shikoya. Thank you.
Check, check. 1, 2. You've all been so patient. We'll be starting in 1 minute. Okay, I guess you were expecting Jewish music, right? A night of Jewish music. That was bluegrass made popularized by Bill Monroe, whose family was not Jewish, but his first banjo player, string bean Aikman, might have been Jewish. But now let's move on to the father of modern Jewish religious music, Shlomo Carlebach. We're going to do a little medley of some of his songs. This year we celebrated his 30th Yahrzeit and also 100 years since his birth in 1925. So here is Shlomo Carlebach.
Banei amigas, il Zion temale. 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 ושם נשיר שיר חדש ונענה נעלה. ושם נשיר שיר חדש ונענה נעלה. שיר חדש ונענה נעלה. שם נשיר שיר חדש ונענה נעלה. Banei amigas, il Zion temale. Banei amigas, il Zion temale. שם נשיר שיר חדש ונענה נעלה. שם נשיר שיר חדש ונענה נעלה. עיר הקודש במהרה בימינו. עיר הקודש במהרה בימינו. אוי ובני ירושלים, ובני ירושלים, עיר הקודש במהרה. ובני ירושלים, ובני ירושלים, עיר הקודש במהרה. ובני ירושלים, ובני ירושלים, עיר הקודש במהרה. אוי, ובני ירושלים, ובני ירושלים, עיר הקודש במהרה. אוי, ייבנה, ייבנה, ייבנה המקדש, Yotzion, Yotzion, Yotzion Temane, Ibane, Ibane, Ibane Hamikdash. Yotzion, Yotzion, Yotzion Temane, ושם נשיר שיר חדש, ובנענה נעלה, ושם נשיר שיר חדש, ובנענה נעלה. ושם נשיר שיר חדש, ובנענה נעלה, ושם נשיר שיר חדש, ובנענה נעלה. תראו, יבנה ביתו, הוא יבנה ביתו, ביתו בקרוב. תראו, הוא יבנה ביתו, הוא יבנה ביתו, ביתו בקרוב. ובמהרה, במהרה, ימינו בקרוב. במהרה, במהרה, ימינו בקרוב.
Thank you. All right, thank you. This next tune, no one knows who wrote the words to Adon Olam. It's actually a big machlokes. So definitely the words are Jewish, probably as Jewish as you can get, but the melody here is going to be from Joni Mitchell. I think we're still in the area, the realm here of Jewish music. Let me just take a moment to say how wonderful this event is. It's so impressive, the work of Jews for Judaism. Please, get online to their website, jewsforjudaism.ca. Make a nice contribution to this amazing mission. Thank you, Rabbi Julius, Rabbi Scobback, for all you do. All right, so this next medley, taking some different types of tunes. Our sages teach, based on the Rambam, that a melody, a tune, cannot be a kli for tuma. It cannot be a vessel for impurity, which means that you could take a melody from anywhere and change it up with the words, and it doesn't retain anything from how it was created or who sang it. So based on that, I decided to make a medley called the Taking Back Medley, where I incorporate some really classic songs that have been very inspirational for many generations, for many people. And with just a couple little tweaks to the lyrics, it's Jewish music. Oh, sorry. Almost there. right, here are some truly wonderful songs of faith.
Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. It's good enough for me. Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. It's good enough for me. It was good for my booby and Zadie. It was good for my booby and Zadie. It was good for my booby and Zadie. Yeah, it's good enough for me. Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. Give me that old-time religion. It's good enough for me. the blessings that follow our days. When the sweet by and by, we shall meet on a beautiful shore. When the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. Hey, hola, hola, mahaba, nepagesham bezeyedisha. Hey, hola, hola, mahaba, nepagesham bezeyedisha. Oh, go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain, Nase Benishma. Oh, go tell it on the mountain, oh, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain, Nase Benishma. The mountain shook and trembled, it was a holy sight. The angels, they were singing, there was a flash of light. Oh, go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain, Nase Benishma. Big cloud on the mountain, he camped all around. The big shofar was ringing, we could see the sound. Oh, go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain, Nase Benishma. Torah Sinai, Torah Sinai, Torah Sinai, Nase Benishma.
Thank you, thank you. Well, you don't hear those songs in a shul every day. All right, we're going to close up with an Israeli tune. This one won the Eurovision Song Contest in 1978. You remember that? It was so popular that they even made it into a Coca-Cola commercial. So here we go. We okay for time, Julius? All right. Thank you. Well, we all know why we're here. We're here to do a very special mitzvah and support a very special organization. So please don't forget to do that. What was it, JewsForJudaism.ca? Was that it? So, /donate? There it is. Thank you again.
Hallelujah, Leolam. Hallelujah, Yashel Tuda. Bemila Bodeda, Lehalli Be'amot Toda, Lefolem Gamu, Eze Olam Nitza. Hallelujah, Leolam. Hallelujah, Yashel Tuda. Hallelujah, Adam Asher Haya, Be'od Asher Tohaya. Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Alakol. Hallelujah, Manaweko. build myself low. Hallelujah. Put your hand in the hand of Hashem who made the water. Put your hand in the hand of Hashem who split the sea. Take a look at yourself, you can look at others differently. Put your hand in the hand of Hashem who set you free. My mama taught me how to pray before I reached the age of 7. When I bend my knees, that's when I'm closest to heaven. But that living life, free kids and the wife, but you do what you must do. But it taught me enough of what it takes to get me through. Put your hand in the hand of Hashem who made the water. Put your hand on the hand of Hashem who split in the sea. Take a look at yourself, you can look at others differently. Put your hand in the hand of Hashem who set you free. Put your hand in the hand of Hashem who made the water. Put your hand in the hand of Hashem who split the sea. Take a look at yourself, you can look at others differently. Put your hand in the hand of Hashem who set you free. Put your hand in the hand of Hashem who set you free. Abba, Shana, Abba, Beru, Shana, Shana, Abba, Shana, Abba, Shana, Abba, Beru, Shana. Thank you, Shana, Abba, Beru, Shana, Hallelujah. Shana, Abba, Beru, Shana, Hallelujah. Shana, Abba, Shana, Abba, Shana, Abba, Beruta. Shana, Abba, Shana, Abba, Shana, Abba, Beruta. Shana, Abba, Beruta, Hallelujah. Shana, Abba, Beruta, Hallelujah. Shana, Abba, Beruta, Hallelujah. Jews for Judaism. Thank you all for being such a wonderful audience. God bless you all. Thank you to my wonderful musicians. Gabe Benchetreat. James Kilby. David says Mashiach's coming. Thank you, David.
All it took was a couple gospel numbers.
Thank you so much, ELDAN. Thank you so much, ELDAN, Gabe, and James. That was phenomenal. Thank you so much. I'd like to now...
James, thank you very much. Thank you. Who's this one? Oh, this is ELDAN. And this is okay. Thank you.
I'd like to now introduce the second tallest man in the room, Julius Sess.
Oh, no, I'm not.
Second tallest.
Yeah.
I said second
Adam.
tallest.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Who is the longtime executive director and founding member of Jews for Judaism. Julius has a unique insider's perspective into today's missionary effort to convert Jews. From 1976 to 1980, Julius was actively involved in the Jews for Jesus movement here in Toronto. This extensive experience provided Julius with a uniquely critical insight into the emotional, spiritual, and psychological makeup of the many Jews who have fallen victim to deceptive missionaries. To counter this missionary threat, Julius established Jews for Judaism in 1989 with the very first program featuring our very own treasure, Rabbi Michael Scobback, sitting so kindly and humbly in the back of the room. Without further ado, we'd like to introduce the powerhouse behind everything that occurs here, Julius Sis.
David, the sound guy, doing a great job. We would be nowhere without David. David Callaghan. Yeah? You the man. Oh, that's the mic. Okay. All right, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. And I can't stop going back 31 years to the very first, it wasn't called the Cavalcade of Stars back then. It was the Spielers or something like that, but it was just as much fun then as it is now. But what's really, really great is it's become an institution in helping Jews for Judaism be capable of reaching out and keeping Jews Jewish. So once again, I got to thank Jerry and Sandy for making all this possible. Thank you. Jerry and Sandy Genesal. I'm here tonight because when we were having the planning of tonight's concert, the question came up, who's going to be the honoree? And I could not take the name Adam Saunders out of my head. And my first encounter with Adam was when he came to our Jews for Judaism office when it was up at Steeles and Batist next to a missionary facility. And he came to apply for a summer job. I think it was maybe the first or second time I've ever hired summer students. And when he came in, I just thought it was a gift from heaven. He was so well researched on the issues that Jews for Judaism has to deal with in terms of Jewish continuity, Jewish survival, countering the missionary threat, countering cults. I mean, he could already give a lecture at, I think it was the age 19 or 20 back then, on the whole topic of the battle for the Jewish soul. And I did not hesitate a moment to hire him, and I didn't regret it one bit. And he helped us. His job that summer was just help Rabbi Scobback line up speaking engagements, which he did very well. He went on to go to various universities in the States, and I remember once he sent us a picture of him working in the Oval Office with President Bush back then, and I went, that's my Adam. I had to assume it's because of my mentoring that he became that. But maybe I'm wrong. But anyways, I felt with my appreciation for what he has accomplished and what he is yet to accomplish, I felt that I really want to step back and say, here's somebody that has set the bar high and meets it. Here's somebody who puts Judaism first and puts family first and has put the two of them together, and it's just so beautiful to see how that's happened. And so I would like to honor Adam to please come up here and share a few words with not only the audience, but we're out in YouTube land, so they're all going to get a chance to enjoy you as well. And really appreciate it. Oh, you're going the long way. Okay, that's great. Oh, do you need that? Go ahead, take that. Oh, let me just get out of the way here. This over here. Put this over here. I always forget how short I am. We'll meet in a few minutes.
Yes. Thank you. I'm honored. I'm a bit speechless. I remember a little while ago when Julius called me. We were talking for a while. And then we were reminiscing about the days when I was an intern at Jews for Judaism. And then he kind of just out of nowhere asked me would I like to be an honoree for this evening. And my first thought was, you know, I think you have the wrong guy, because I've seen honorees in evenings and they've lived impressive lives, right? What Saul was speaking about is an unbelievable experience. People who are honorees are people who have built institutions, they've donated vast sums of money, or they're just unbelievable people, and I'm none of those things. And so Julius, I'm like, I don't know if I should do this. And then he asked me if I'd give a speech. And then he said, you should ask your wife, you know, talk to Galit about it. So I asked Galit, who's my wife. We've been married for more than 18 years now. And she's my partner in everything that I do. And she was tickled. And she said, you know, you should do this. You know, everything that I have that's good. I really see that's with Galit. I have my daughters, Lavana here, and Amuna. And I see their incredible midot and the home that she has built. And so following her advice is good. So I figured I'll do it so that I can have a chance to thank Julius and Rabbi Scobback and Carol for what they gave to me and for the profound influence that Jews for Judaism has had on me personally. So as Julius said, I came across Jews for Judaism 26 years ago. It was 1999. And I just finished my second year at university. I was at Princeton, and I wanted to come back to Toronto for the summer. And actually, I really wanted to work in finance at the time. I thought, you know, if I'll work downtown in one of those big banks, it'll be an amazing experience, and I'll be a somebody. And I wrote, at 1999, how'd you find a job? You wrote letters. So I wrote 30 letters to 30 different banks in Toronto. And every single one of them answered me, and all of them were no. And I kept actually that stack of letters, just so that, you know, sometimes the path to success, you know, is littered with some setbacks. I came back to Toronto, and I had no job, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I'd spent 3 summers before that at Woodbine Racetrack, cutting grass and painting fences as a day laborer. And I thought, maybe I'll go and do that again. But then my grandmother, Rose Klein, who I knew as Bobby, she is a Holocaust survivor herself. She has an unbelievable heart. She lived to the age of 100. She passed away just a few years ago. She found the ad in the Canadian Jewish News for Jews for Judaism. And that's how people used to find jobs, as they looked in newspapers. So I'm old enough to remember that. And she said, you know, maybe you should apply for this job. And I thought, well, you know, look, it's a Jewish organization. You know, it looks like an interesting internship. And so I read up on what I could and learned everything that I could. And I still remember interviewing with Rabbi Scobback and Julius. And it was an amazing day. And they actually called me back that night and offered me the job. And I accepted on the spot. And, you know, to this day, you know, they took a chance on me, right? Everyone else said no, but they said yes. And for that, I'm always appreciative. And that summer was really transformational for me. Right? So I'll tell you where I was coming from. I grew up on Leslie, just south of Steeles. I grew up in an incredibly loving and warm home. My dad is here. My mom is recovering from eye surgery, so she's, I think, watching this from home, so I can actually say hi, Mom. You know, I went to Hebrew school growing up. I had a bar mitzvah. We went to shul on high holidays. We did Pesach. We lit candles on Friday night. And my parents always taught me the value of working hard and trying your best, and honesty and integrity. And I think, although we were less religiously observant than we are now, I think that those values helped lay the groundwork for some of my future growth in taking on more things. And I remember in grade 10, I think we were ready to do more, and we started keeping Shabbos, which I remember at the time was a bit of a challenge because most of my friends weren't Jewish, and they didn't like the fact that I wasn't getting together with them and playing sports or doing homework. And so it was only when I went away to university that I actually started to have Jewish friends. Before then, I could count maybe the number of Jewish friends I had on maybe one hand. And I had a lot of friends in my first 2 years. I went to the Hillel, the Center for Jewish Life. It was a really nice experience. But I admit that as I look back, I was a bit of a groupie in the sense that, I wasn't into the fraternity scene in university. I wasn't going to parties. The Center for Jewish Life, it was like family. I had friends that were Jewish, some observant, some not observant, and it was really an interesting place to fit in. But I'm going to admit that until really that point, I didn't really know why we're Jewish or why we don't play for other teams. And the summer that I spent at Jews for Judaism, I remember starting out taking one of Rabbi Scobback's courses. Everyone should take a course with him. He is a genius. I remember the man is like an encyclopedia. He knows everything. And I was incredibly impressed with all that I learned there and everything that I learned behind the scenes. When I saw the integrity of Carol, Rabbi Scobback, of Julius, and how they handled everything. They never cut corners. They were incredibly honest, and they did everything with such care. And for them, Judaism was alive. It was real, and it was true. It wasn't just a bunch of things that we read in a Haggadah that we then went back to our life after Pesach. For them, Judaism was their life. And it was an incredible experience that I had. And I think it was very important on my journey as I became more observant over time. But I'll admit what's interesting is that just knowing that something is true doesn't mean that it's actually easy. It can still be hard. And so whenever you are making any kind of journey, sometimes it's 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards, 1 step forward, 2 steps backwards. But slowly over time, I remember taking on more things. I met Galit, it was 3 years later, I met Galit, and I took on keeping fully 100% kosher all the time. Because Galit kept kosher. And I figured, if I want to win her over, you know what? I'm going to take this on too. And so I never looked back from there. It was a couple of years later that I started davening every day and wearing my tefillin. And it was maybe about 3 or 4 years after that that I wore my yarmulke one morning to daven, and then I never took it off. And that was 15 years ago, or a little more than 15 years ago, and I've taught 5,000 students since then. And it's been amazing, actually, being an observant Jew in university. When I was at UBC, it was like maybe 5 different people in the entire university of tens of thousands that wore yarmulke. And I came across lots of interesting people, and I never had a single problem the entire time. The same thing when I got to U of T and being in the business school as well. And so I've certainly learned that it's important to take pride in who you are. And if you do that, then people respect you. But one of the things that I learned as I continued to grow, I used to look at becoming Orthodox like this mountain that you would climb. And like one day you get to the top of Mount Orthodox, and then you're just there. But that's not the way it works. Judaism is not something that you finish or graduate from, right? It's, as you start taking on more, you realize that the mitzvot are there. That's where you begin, not where you end. And you use the mitzvot to become a somebody, right? Where's your unique mitzvah? What are you doing in the world that's unique for the community or for your generation? And so one of the things that I remember Rabbi Scobback speaking about that summer, I remember he gave a talk, and there was a question that came up about the importance of Jewish schools and education. And I still remember he had said, of course, Jewish education is important, but it's not everything. Right? You have to have the parents involved as well in the home. And that's something that I never forgot about. I would say that although I'm incredibly proud of the fact that Levana and Amuna, they went to Vancouver Hebrew Academy. It's an Orthodox Jewish day school in Vancouver, and they go to Netivot Torah here in Thornhill. That you cannot just outsource Judaism to the schools. That I can certainly say in my own life that Judaism has gone from something that was an extracurricular activity, something that I just happened to do that fit into my life, right? And this is something that Galit and I have taken on together, is the only way to do Judaism properly is that it's the center of your life. You have to put Hashem at the center of your life. Because if you put anything else in the center of your life, you're going to get disappointed. Money, honors, whatever else, right? It's very fleeting, it comes and goes, right? You have to be intentional, because if you don't put something in the center of your life, someone else will. Maybe it'll be your boss or some other colleagues, maybe some social media algorithm, whatever it is, right? So something that Galit and I have grown over the years together is that we have put Hashem at the center of our lives, and Judaism at the center of our lives. And that doesn't mean that you're a perfect person. Certainly Galit could attest to that. And it doesn't mean you don't make mistakes, and it doesn't mean that you don't have bad days, or that everything goes sideways. But when you're steering your ship, you have to have a northern star where you guide yourself to. Right? And either you pick that yourself or somebody else chooses it for you. You have to be intentional. And so, I guess I'll close by saying that I owe Jews for Judaism so much in my life. It came at a very important time in terms of laying an intellectual groundwork for why Judaism is true and why we don't play for other teams. And I had never really seen that before in my life until then. And although it was 26 years ago, I never forgot it. And it's a part of me now. And we've been proud to continue to support Jews for Judaism and plan to continue to do so for the rest of my life. And I feel very proud and honored to be part of the Jews for Judaism family. And so thank you to Carol and Rabbi Scobback and Julius for taking a chance on me all those years ago. Thank you.
That we put together for you that you could have for your family to enjoy, to let you know that you're a star. Okay? It says this is the 31st annual Cavalcade of Stars Man of Accomplishment Award, honoring Adam Saunders for the huge impact he has made by standing up proudly for Judaism in all his endeavors, and along with his wife, Galit, being inspiring role models and raising the next generation of passionate Jews for Judaism.
Thank you.
It's great.
Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Adam Saunders, married to Professor Dr. Galit. Both of them are a powerhouse academic couple with wonderful young children. Thank you so much for your wonderful words. I'd now like to introduce our next set, an amazing, amazing partnership. Firstly, ELI GREEN is a North York-based singer, vocal educator, and artist representative. For over 2 decades, Eli has honed his skills performing for small groups in local retirement homes, solo and in choirs, at private weddings and shuls, through to ensemble performances for packed crowds at the former Molson Amphitheater and Rico Coliseum. From teaching group voice lessons, leading or teaching about Jewish religious services and traditions, to performing classic and contemporary pop songs from the decades gone by, Eli brings an air of warmth and friendliness to his work that always leaves audiences asking, when are you coming back? Tonight, Eli will have the pleasure of performing alongside the phenomenal DEAN AIVALIOTIS. Between stints as an accomplished solo performer, producer, and score composer, DEAN is an in-demand supporting artist for major label musicians and performers like Sarah McLachlan, Always, rapper Snoop Dogg, and most recently as touring pianist and sound designer for 2-time Juno Award-winning Indigenous rock artist Ace Anabi. Tonight, this incredible duo will take you on a musical journey through jazz, classic, and contemporary pop, and Israeli and Jewish songs, one of which will take a new and unexpected twist. Please welcome to the stage the phenomenal ELI GREEN and DEAN AIVALIOTIS.
Wow, we weren't kidding about Julius being tall. Wow. All right, everybody. How are we all doing tonight? Thank you for sticking around, especially you folks on the live stream. I want to say before we get started, we all know why we're here. ELDAN said it, everybody said it so far. We're talking about Jews for Judaism and what a great organization it is. And so if you have not yet done so, even folks in this room, make sure that you either go to jewsforjudaism.ca/donate and make a donation, or if you're here in the room, you can do so on your way out. Dean, how you feeling tonight? Skylark, have you anything to say to me? Won't you tell me where my love can be? Is there a meadow in the mist? a song that was written by a nice Jewish boy. I think his name was Robert Zimmerman, Bob Dylan, and so he wrote this song, but this version speaks to me most, and I think you know it. It's performed by Adele.
And the whole world is on your case. I could offer you a warm embrace to make you feel my love. When the evening shadows and the stars appear, and there's no one there to dry your tears, I could hold you for a million years to make you feel my love. I know you haven't made your mind up yet, but I could never do you wrong. I know it from the moment that we met, no doubt in my mind where you belong. I'd go hungry, I'd go black and blue, I'd go crawling down the avenue. No, there's nothing that I wouldn't do to make you feel my love. The storms are raging on the rolling sea, and on the highway of regret, the winds of change are blowing wild and free. You ain't seen nothing like me yet. I could make you happy, make your dreams come true. No, there's nothing that I wouldn't do. Go to the ends of the earth for you to make you feel my love, to make you feel my love, to make you feel my love.
Isn't Dean great? Isn't he great? All right, I need to pick up the microphone for this one, and I need your help, because for this one, I need you guys to sing along a little bit with me, and I know the room's probably waxing and waning a little bit, flagging energy a little bit, but hopefully we'll bring it up for this one, because this one was done by a good friend of the Jewish people. In fact, he did at least a couple of Jewish songs, one of them being Hava Nagila, the other being Hine Matov. Hine Matov Umanahim. You may or may not have seen that many a year ago when he was still alive. But this one is one of his songs, and I need you to sing it with me. Matilda, 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 she took me money and ran Venezuela. Let's get a little calypso on this. And you're welcome to clap along, of course. Everybody, Matilda, 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 she take me money and run Venezuela. Everybody, Matilda, 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 she take me money and run Venezuela. $500 me friends are lost. Woman even sell me cocked and horse. Matilda, she take me money and run Venezuela. Everybody, you! There we go now. Matilda, Matilda, she take me money and run Venezuela. Everybody, Matilda, sing out the chorus. Matilda, yes, a little louder. Matilda, she take me money and run Venezuela. Well, the money was to buy me house and land. Then she got a serious plan. Hey, Matilda, she take me money and run Venezuela. Once again now, Matilda, 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 she take me money and run Venezuela. Just the ELDANs, There we go, once again. Yeah. Matilda, she take me money and run Venezuela. Everybody, Matilda, 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 she take me money and run Venezuela. The money was inside me bed, stuck up in a pillow beneath me head. Hey, Matilda, she took me money and Matilda, 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 she take me money and run Venezuela. Clap along now, Matilda, Matilda, she take me money and run Venezuela. Just this side now. Oh, I don't hear you. There we go now, Matilda, she take me money and run Venezuela. Just you four now. There goes my case. There we go, I hear you, Matilda, she take me money and run Venezuela. Well, I never will love again. All my money gone in vain, baby, Matilda, she take me money and run Venezuela. Everybody, Matilda, 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 she take me money and run Venezuela. Just the Furmans. Yes. There we go now, Matilda, she take me money and run Venezuela. Everybody, you too, Matilda, come on, camera guy, you shine now, Matilda, she take me money and run Venezuela. Thank you. And that is the most Jamaican you will see out of me, I promise. All right, we're gonna move it along into something a lot more Jewish and Israeli now. I wasn't worried about tripping on that. Okay. Well, we've had a bit of a rough 17 months now, as I'm sure many of you know. And what I wanted to kind of pull from our musical hat is a sense that we continue to have, especially with Purim just behind us and Pesach ahead of us. So one of my absolute favorite Israeli artists is Idan Reichel, and I never know that I can do him justice, but I do have Dean here with me, and he is absolutely fantastic. And we've worked together on a wonderful song of his called Hakol Over, which means this too shall pass. And so one thing that we have to keep in mind is even though we have trials and tribulations, indeed, they too shall pass. Dean.
רחוק ממך ולא נותרו לנו מילים לדבר ברוח סחף המפרש בודד בסוף הפכה אותו בודד יותר מכל חלום ורחש מתעורר הכל עובר כל מה שפעם היה ונשכח היום הוא לא חוזר זה רק עוקמת שבעול נחרט שהיום הוא רק לא יהיה ביותר מתוך שאין דרך חזרה הכל עובר כל עוד יום רודף לו יום ולילה לילה וכל עוד אין חדש על פני האדמה טוב שרק נשארנו יחד וטוב שיש לנו למי לספר למרות אין כל הדרך חזרה הכל עובר קופצה שהגליד ושוב נפתח היום צורב יותר מתאחר ומתחדש מעצמה ושוב פורץ ומתקבר כבר לא שבור ראש בית למשמר והכל עובר כל עוד יום רודף לו יום ולילה לילה וכל עוד אין חדש על פני האדמה טוב שרק נשארנו יחד וטוב שיש לנו למי לספר למרות אין כל הדרך חזרה והכל עובר ואת זוכרת איך בעם היינו מול הרוח וכוחד העובר ואחרי כל השנים הרעות חזרו שנים טובות רבות יותר טוב שרק נשארנו יחד וטוב שיש לנו למי לספר למרות אין כל הדרך חזרה והכל עובר הכל עובר This too shall pass. And with Pesach coming up and us continuing to survive, these next words come straight out of the Haggadah and were actually recomposed by somebody who took this very stage just like a month or so ago, Yonatan Razel. And I hope I can do him justice. V'hi she'amda. והיא שעמדה לאבותינו והיא שעמדה לאבותינו ולנו שלא אחד בלבד עמד עלינו לכלותנו עמד עלינו לכלותנו והיא שעמדה לאבותינו והיא שעמדה לאבותינו ולנו שלא אחד בלבד עמד עלינו לכלותנו עמד עלינו לכלותנו והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו מצילנו מידם והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו מצילנו מידם שעמדה לאבותינו, והיא שעמדה לאבותינו ולנו, שלא אחד בלבד עמד עלינו לכלותנו, עמד עלינו לכלותנו, והיא שעמדה לאבותינו, והיא שעמדה לאבותינו ולנו, שלא אחד בלבד עמד עלינו לכלותנו, עומדים עלינו לכלותנו, והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו, מצילנו מידם, והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו, מצילנו מידם, שלא אחד בלבד עמד עלינו לכלותנו, לכלותנו, והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו, והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו מאדם. והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו, מצילנו מידם. לא לא ני 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 na 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 oh oh. Thank you. Thank you. You mind if I have a little water? I already made a bracha earlier, so I couldn't now. Well, I don't want to bring anybody down. In fact, I want to lift you up, and like Dean knows, I say I'm a rising tides kind of person. So with that, before we say goodbye, we're going to do one last song, and as Hyim promised, it is going to be a little bit of a twist. Now, you all know Sunrise, Sunset, so Dean, play us in. Is this the little girl I carried? Is this a little boy at play? I don't remember growing older. When did they? When did she get to be a beauty? When did he grow to be so tall? Wasn't it yesterday when they were small? Sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset, swiftly flow the days. Seedlings turn overnight to sunflowers, blossoming even as we gaze. Sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset, swiftly fly the years. One season following another, laden with happiness and tears. Now is the little boy a bridegroom? Now is the little girl a bride? Under the canopy I see them side by side. Place the gold ring around her finger, share the sweet wine and break the glass. Soon the full circle will have come to pass. It will have come to pass. It will have come to pass. Sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset, swiftly flow the days. Oh, seedlings turn overnight to sunflowers, blossoming even as we gaze. Watch that gaze. Oh, sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset, swiftly fly the years. Oh, one season following another, laden with happiness and tears. What words of wisdom can I give them? How can I help to ease their way? Now they must learn from one another, day by day, day by day, day by day. They look so natural together, just as two newlyweds should be. Is there a canopy in store for me? Is there a canopy that's in store for me, for me, for me? Sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset, swiftly flow the days. Seedlings turn overnight to sunflowers, blossoming even as we gaze. Sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset, swiftly fly the years. Oh, one season following another, laden with happiness and tears. Sing laden, laden. Laden with happiness and tears. One more time. Laden with happiness and tears. Thank you very much. I am ELI GREEN. This is DEAN AIVALIOTIS. And we are so happy to be here. Hyim, Julius. You guys around? Should we play something else? All right. Well, I guess even the MCs and the organizers are all. Should we do something else? All right. We got one more song apiece for you. You get to do Shir Shalom, the rock one. All right. All right. תנו לשמש לעלות, לבוקר להאיר, חזקה שבתפילות אותנו לא תחזיר. מי אשר קבע נרו ובעפה נטמן, בחימר לא יאיר לו, לרחזלו לכאן. האיש אותנו לא ישיב, מבור תחתית אפל, כאן לא יאינו, ובכל הניצחון, ולא שירי הלל, רק שירו שיר שלום, אל תרחצו תפילה, מוטב תשירו שיר שלום בצעקה גדולה. תנו לשמש לחדול, לבוקר להאיר, אל תביטו לאחור, הניחו להולכים. עשו עיניים בתקווה, לא דרך כוונות, שירו שיר לאהבה ולא למלחמות. אל תגידו יום יבוא, הביאו את היום, כי לא חלום הוא, ובכל הכיכרות הריעו רק שלום. הביאו שירו שיר שלום, אל תרחשו תפילה, מוטב תשירו שיר שלום בצעקה גדולה. Sing it! שירו שיר שלום, אל תרחשו תפילה, מוטב תשירו שיר לשלום בצעקה גדולה. Thank you very much. Thank you. Julius! DEAN AIVALIOTIS, everybody give him a round of applause.
Oh, you shouldn't have. It's a lot of money.
You don't have to walk the long way up.
Oh, no, gosh, I gotta stand up there. I think we've got, we're seeing a little light at the end of the tunnel here. Okay. Thank you, Dean. Thank you, Ellie. It was fantastic. Fantastic. I got another round of applause. It was great. Great. So, the hour's a little late, but that doesn't mean that we can't still be further inspired. And the Cavalcade of Stars has always been about helping keep Jews Jewish through Jews for Judaism's outreach work. And our outreach work ultimately falls on the responsibility of one individual who's made a big difference. You heard Adam, what he had to say. Well, it's true. Rabbi Michael Scobback is, although our education director and director of counseling, he has spent and dedicated his entire life to fighting the various threats to Jewish continuity, and at the same time making Jews find Judaism just a little bit more pleasant and enjoyable. So without further ado, I'm going to lower the mic and ask for Rabbi Scobback to come up. Okay. Thank you, Rabbi Scobback.
I'm just going to put this over.
Oh, you need that?
Okay, good evening, and we have a long night ahead of us. This is the beginning of the comedy part of the evening.
So I just wanted to correct Julius. I have not spent my entire life trying to keep Jews Jewish and to help Jews, save Jews for Judaism. I spent the first part of my life being someone who was anti-Judaism. So I was part of the enemy at first, and thank God I joined the team. So I'm going to keep my remarks brief because I'm sure everyone has to go home and clean for Pesach now. But today was a special day, and we're just really now past it by a few hours. But today was the first day of the first month in the Jewish calendar. So basically, Happy New Year, everyone. This was the first day in the month of Nisan. Nisan is the first month of the Jewish calendar. And if you go back 3,300 years plus, something very special took place on this day. 1 year after we left Egypt, they finally assembled the tabernacle that was built. The tabernacle was built miraculously in 3 months, and then it lay on the desert floor. All the parts were just laying on the desert floor for another 3 months. And then on this date, on Rosh Chodesh Nisan, on the first day in the first month, the month of Nisan, it was finally erected. It was finally put together and it was stood up. But the Midrash, the sages tell us that it wasn't so simple. They tell us that at first, the people were not able to get it to stand up because it was so incredibly heavy. The beams were massively heavy. They were huge, they were coated with solid gold, and the people were not able to get these beams to stand up. They kept on falling down. And so the Midrash tells us that they brought the Mishkan to Moshe. And you can imagine here, all these people couldn't get it to stand up, and they're schlepping it now to an 80-year-old man, and they ask him to do it. So Moses looks at them, and Moses looks at God, and God says to Moses, don't worry. Just make an effort, and basically, wink, wink, I'll take care of the rest. And so what the Midrash teaches is that the way the tabernacle ultimately was able to be assembled and set up was that Moshe did some effort. He made some effort to do it, and then miraculously the Mishkan stood up by itself. I'm sharing this because we at Jews for Judaism really experience something very similar. When you think about it, we're a very small organization. Julius and Carol and myself are basically the team in the office. Thank God we have a wonderful group of people supporting and helping, Jerry and Sandy, and volunteers and donors. There are a lot of people who help the ship, but it's still a very, very small organization when you think about the massive nature of what we're up against. When you think about the fact that there are today over 1,000 Christian missionary organizations spending hundreds of millions of dollars a year targeting Jews for conversion, and they're the tip of the iceberg. We're still dealing with hundreds of destructive cult groups that destroy lives. We're dealing with many, many Jewish people that are still drawn to Eastern religions. We're talking about the fact that today we have a massive threat that's chipping away at Jewish continuity, the threat of assimilation, which is destroying so many Jewish families. And over the past number of years, we've seen the growing hostility to the land of Israel, to the state of Israel. We're seeing a massive propaganda, hate drives, organizations attacking Zionism, attacking Eretz Yisrael, which unfortunately are destroying the connection of so many young Jewish people, not just to Israel, but it's destroying their connection to wanting to even be Jewish. And so the threats to Jewish continuity are immense. And when we think about such a small organization that is up against such a massive problem, It feels the same way they probably felt in the desert. How are we going to get this thing set up? It's too big for us. It's too huge. But when you think about it, I think this is 36 years now that Jews for Judaism is operating here in Toronto. And for 36 years, there's been a miraculous, with divine help, with the help of God, impact that a small organization has been able to make on the world. So I just wanted to share with you two very, very brief emails. One was an email, one was a Facebook message that I received today. And we get this kind of feedback constantly hearing from people whose lives we've been able to change with the help of God. One actually was not today, one was Friday. I'm sorry. So I want to share with you the story, the backstory of how I got this email. Last week I did something which I never do. I watched a podcast that was 1 hour and 40 minutes long. I never watch podcasts because every day people send me videos. You have to watch this, you have to watch that. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? I could spend my whole life and not have enough time going through all the videos people send me. So I just have a policy. I don't watch any of the videos people send me. I don't have time. But for some reason, this particular video, which was not sent to me, I just came across it. I sat down for 1 hour and 40 minutes to watch an incredible story of a young man, today he must be in his 30s, who grew up a militant atheist, not just a person who didn't believe in God. He was a fabrenta religious atheist. He was someone who read all the books and would argue with people, and he was into it. And this is a story he tells about how basically his life was transformed. He became committed to Judaism. In a few short years, he became a rabbi. And just this year, he launched an English-speaking yeshiva in Israel. It was an amazing, amazing story that he told. Absolutely mind-blowing, all of the supernatural things that happened to him. And in the course of his story, he shared a teaching which was very unusual. I had never heard, by Rabbi Nayman of Breslov. And I spent the next 2 days trying to track down this teaching. I did all the searching I could do. I couldn't find it anywhere. So I sent messages to 2 people I know here in Toronto, actually one in Toronto, one in England, who are students of Rabbi Nayman of Breslov. Please help me find this teaching. I never heard back from them. So I figured, you know what, I'm going to try and find this fellow who spoke. And I did some digging, and I found on the internet his email address, and I figured, well, how can it hurt? I sent him an email. Immediately, I get a response from him. And this is how his email begins. He says, "It's incredibly surreal to receive an email from you. I've watched your videos from Jews for Judaism since the very outset of my return to Judaism. They have been tremendously strengthening for me spiritually. Our sages teach that the greatest revelation of Hashem's honor is achieved specifically when those Jews who are furthest are brought close. You are truly doing the most important work in the world. Thank you for everything you do, and the Almighty should give you tremendous success in your incredibly holy work of helping to bring Jews back to our authentic faith." And the truth is that over the years, we've had not only impact on the lives of countless Jewish people, but over the past number of years, we're finding that we're impacting the lives of non-Jewish people. So this morning, I received the following message on Facebook. Someone writes to me that I'm a follower of you on YouTube, and my husband and I are new to the Jewish faith. Our heart is to join the Jewish nation and eventually begin the conversion process. You have been such an inspiration to us and have opened our eyes to the truth. It's because of you that we have left Christianity for good and now serve and worship only the God of Israel. So I just wanted to share these two brief messages with you because we receive these messages literally every day. And it's only because of the support that we receive from the community, from our volunteers, and from donors, and of course, the supernatural help that we receive from God that allows such a small Jewish organization to have such a worldwide impact. So thank every one of you, and thank God, and God willing, we should see only more success in the coming years.
Okay, this is one last song that wasn't on the agenda. You ready? Now's the time to say goodbye to all our company. You know, what are you going to do? It comes to a point where you got to finish. M-I-C-E-K. Yeah, that's it, the Mickey Mouse Club. Thank you, everybody. But Rabbi Scobback, I'm so moved by your story there. And, you know, we see these emails every day. We see the letters. And I find that the inspiration we get from the reward I feel from hearing these messages just keeps me going. People sometimes ask me, well, are you thinking about retiring? And I say, what? And do what? You know, sit on a pier and drink beer? We are changing lives. And what Rabbi Scobback says is really interesting. We're just a small little office on Bathurst Street with a couple filing cabinets. People come into, somebody came into our office and they went, what? This is it? They were like so shocked because in their mind, they were expecting this big worldwide conglomerate office. And it was this little hole-in-the-wall office. Because you really don't need a lot to make an impact. And we learned this at Rabbi Scobback has been, not his whole life, but he's been doing it. And since I came out of Christianity, most of you know that I was a Jew for Jesus for many years. And when I came out, the rabbi that helped me come out taught me the concept of tshuva, repentance. He basically said that having done an aveira, a sin, the remedy to being forgiven for that sin is tshuva, repentance. And the best repentance you could do is to do the opposite of what you did. And to me, it was like a light bulb going on in my head. But when the sin that I was involved in was bringing Jews into Christianity, then it seemed to be very logical that the tshuva, the repentance for that, was be bringing them back to Judaism, out of Christianity. So it's just been fortunate that Rabbi Scobback has been on the team since 1989. Sufferer. Just kidding. No, it's amazing. 36 years. It's hard to believe. And remember, we did that first. It was our first meeting was in Marley in the Jerusalem shul downstairs. We had our first meeting down there, and it was hard to believe that we got started. And it's been rolling ever since. And unfortunately, when Mashiach comes, maybe we'll be out of business in the counter-missionary work, but we'll have other work to do as well. So in the meantime, let's get ready for next year's 32nd Cavalcade of Stars. And in the meantime, we want to wish everybody a very happy and freilich and Pesach. Thank you. I was just wondering which holiday was coming. Pesach. I'm about tshuva. I'm allowed to stall, no? Everybody should have a nice Pesach, and thinking about what Adam said, let's pause this Pesach and stop and really try to put ourselves into the Pesach experience. Let's remove ourselves from the automatic reading of the Haggadah and stop and do what we can to just take it just a little bit more personally. So anyways, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for coming. And don't forget, for those of you in YouTube land, support Jews for Judaism at jewsforjudaism.ca. Donate. Okay, thank you.